What's up, guys? So today I'm going to talk about functional reducers. So what is a functional reducer? Well, I created a package called function reducer on npm.js that describes what this is. So essentially, we're using the useReducer hook that's in React. Um, we pass in our function reducer and our initial state. And what function reducer, when we dispatch a an action in functional reducer, what we're doing is we are dispatching something called action function, which is our function from one of these methods down here. And then we're passing in some named parameters. And what this does is that it will deconstruct these name parameters in our function. So here we have an example of adding a to-do. And so it's going to pass in this, which will have automatically a state because it's a reducer. And we have our to-do, so we're adding that to the existing state. Pass in the rest of the state via the spread operator, and then to-dos is equal to the current to-dos and adding this to-do. And that's what comes back. And so the idea with this is, instead of, if we have a look at traditionally how reducers were created, we have this switch statement, and we have an action and sometimes as a type and sometimes as a payload. But a lot of times people will create these actions as boilerplate separate things. And then we've got this switch statement, which, for small things can be quite compact. But I've seen reducers that have got massive switch statements because the actual it's not manipulation of the state, but it's creating a new state snapshot or a new version of the state which has a lot of things changed. Requires a lot more than, say, these one-liners that are here. And so it can get quite complex. And so what I'm trying to do with the function reducer is to compartmentalize every state change into its own particular function, so we don't have these crazy switch statements. What we're doing is we're splitting the functionality into these what I call stores, or these stores, which enable us to do some changing of the state by just, in this case we're using this thing called imma, which we're using to create like a draft state. And so again, we can manipulate the state in draft, and then the final state will be the new version of the state. And as I said, the reason why I created this was because I wanted to reduce boilerplate. I wanted to reduce code and make it easier to understand with these named attributes. Just dispatch a function with a method and some name parameters, which are deconstructed in our function. And then when they're executed, we also want to log them. So by using functions rather than arrow functions, we can know the name of the function, and then we can see what's going on with our state, because we can see the action being, in this case, set page data, and we can see the params that are being executed, and it helps us debug what state changes are actually being made by seeing these actions. And as an example of this, obviously this log reducer is a optional thing that you can use to do debugging, but it's there as a way of being able to see your actions as they're being executed. Hopefully people will like and subscribe, and there'll be more things coming out soon.